Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a new Penguin update, one that is most certainly interesting. And I'm telling you, like, the Illuminati keeps putting out these reports on the Penguin series, so they've got to have a really good source, or all of this is absolute rubbish. But the thing is, as I've said before, the Illuminati, as with, a lot of sites and whatnot, they have been accurate in the past. So I do want to say that at the same time as saying take this with a grain of salt. But given the Penguin series, how we've been covering it on this channel, all of this is making sense. And the prime piece of information that we're talking about today is actually something we've been discussing in the Batman/Penguin discussion series videos. You guys have been talking about Maroni being involved. Now, in the Batman, we know that Maroni was set up. We know that Falcone has been the mayor for the past 20 years. After the Waynes died 20 years ago to the month of when the Batman picked up, the Gotham Renewal Fund was completely leached and there was a rat. Now, Carmine Falcone was the informant for the biggest drug bust in Gotham history or something like that. Long story short, as we know, that wasn't enough. They kept the drops going. But as a result, Carmine Falcone had a hold on the mayor, the commissioner, the district attorney. Like, they're all a part of it. As Gil Colson said, it's the whole goddamn system. What we're going to do today, this is a bit of a bonus video. As I said, I do want to keep very close updates on the channel for that of the Penguin series, because it's obviously expanding the world of the Batman. Characters like Salvatore Maroni are very interesting ones, and it's just adding to all of the whispers that we've got about this show so far, which we will be recapping over in this video if you've missed my recent Penguin updates. So go ahead, like this video. If you do go on to enjoy it, it would help me out a ton, help me conquer that YouTube algorithm. But let's look at the article. So the Penguin, the Batman spin-off, casting treacherous mob boss Salvatore Maroni and more, exclusive. So skipping the little intro bit, which is basically just describing the Penguin series, who's writing it, the showrunner, we know that information. They go on to say that during the events of the Batman, crime boss Don Carmine Falcone was murdered by the Riddler. He was the king of Gotham's criminal enterprise, and his death has created a power struggle that moves the Penguin forward into action. Sofia and Alberto Falcone, the children of Carmine, will be coming to make their claim on Gotham City. Other Falcone family players like cousin Johnny Vitti and consigliere Milo Scrappa will join the siblings in rebuilding Carmine's empire. And that is what we covered in the previous video. I do recommend checking out. I'll leave it in the cards above. I go over it in a bit more depth. Essentially, Sofia has been in Arkham for 10 years, apparently due to the Penguin, but now she's getting out. Maybe that's something to do with Carmine's death. We were speculating, why would Carmine let his daughter be put away by Penguin? Is it kind of like a betrayal, like a deception to Falcone? Maybe Penguin made it to be something more than it was. Maybe Carmine was in on it because Sofia could have been insanely ambitious. There's all of these little, nuggets of stuff that is very ambiguous, but I do love the idea of Sofia coming out of Arkham, and also Alberto Falcone will be coming into this series according to reports, and that is just another interesting aspect because obviously he is not prepared for his father's role. But there is even more information now. So the Penguin will fight for his ambitious desire to succeed Don Falcone as the #1 player in Gotham, even while his mother's dementia worsens. But Oswald Cobblepot has more to deal with than just the Falcones and his sick mom. Another player is entering the fray. The Illuminati has learned from our sources that HBO Max is looking to cast a man in his 60s to play Salvatore Maroni. Don Salvatore Maroni is the head of the Maroni crime family, an organization that has long-standing rivalry with the Falcones. Don Maroni has been featured in film and TV programs such as The Dark Knight, Gotham, Batman Forever, and even The Batman, often as a younger man. And that is kind of true with the Batman. Like, we did see a photograph of the drug bust, Maroni in that photograph, and I remember way into the production of the Batman, this is a long time ago, we saw from afar these shots, and I don't know if I'll be able to find it for the video, but a lot of people were thinking maybe it was Colin Farrell because the person seemed to have an umbrella, maybe they were using a walking stick if I remember correctly, and they had like bleach, platinum blondish hair, and people were thinking at the time, if some of you may remember this, that they were going the Emperor Penguin look for Colin Farrell. This is way before we even knew about the prosthetics that he would have, but clearly That actually, in my mind, I'm very confident in saying this, that was actually Maroni, Salvatore Maroni. They were probably just doing some shots there. Maybe they wanted to have a little bit of fun with putting him out where people could take photos of the production. But either way, it doesn't really matter because Maroni probably was a similar age to Falcone 20 years ago when the drug bust happened and when Falcone betrayed him to completely take his position of power. As you know, we know they were very much so rivals. They're two different crime families. But in the Penguin, I would like to think that Salvatore Maroni could be around Falcone's age. So a bit of an older man, but not too way past it. Who knows? He could have been even older than Falcone. But we'll talk about this more in a second. The Illuminati go on to say that Salvatore Maroni is only seen briefly during the Batman, and he was played by an uncredited extra who will presumably not return for the Penguin. We learn that Salvatore was subject to one of the biggest drug raids in GCPD history, but is eventually revealed that Maroni was set up by Falcone. We can only assume that Salvatore Maroni will be seeking revenge against the Falcone family for this slight during the new HBO Max spin-off. Theoretically, the Penguin could team up with the Maroni crime family in order to take down the Falcones together. Additionally, the Penguin is looking to cast 3 more characters who appear to be created for the show. Eve is a sex worker in her 50s who doesn't take crap from anyone. She agrees to help cover for Cobblepot. Nick is a 30-year-old man who is employed at a plant controlled by the Penguin. He is distinguished by the gold cross constantly worn around his neck. Finally, HBO Max is looking for a male actor in their 40s to play Dr. Ruben DeSoto, whose work is less than ethical. These 3 will be supporting characters. Now, interestingly, the Illuminati go on to say that even Nick do not really appear to have any basis in DC comic book continuity, neither does Dr. Ruben DeSoto, but the little information revealed about the character is intriguing. He is a doctor, working unethically in Gotham City amidst a criminal war for the streets. That description would also fit Dr. Hugo Strange very well. That is purely speculation, and there is no guarantee that Dr. DeSoto and Dr. Strange have any connection whatsoever. But it's always possible that DeSoto is a codename used to preserve the secrecy of supervillain Hugo Strange coming to the Penguin. That is true in the sense that, you know, when you do get casting and character descriptions like this, they most often change the character names. They also change even the description. I mean, it might sum them up in a sense, but it wouldn't necessarily completely give everything away, but sometimes alludes to that of the character's nature. So I do understand the speculation that they could, and this is always a possibility. I'm not saying this is true, as the Illuminati says here, this is just speculation, but technically that could fit. An unethical doctor, right? That is very, very, very Hugo Strange, but it could also be anything and anyone else. And that is essentially the report here. So let's talk about this for a minute. Let's hypothetically assume this is true, because obviously we won't know until we know kind of thing. And the thing I do want to say is as well, for what it is worth, this and all of the information we're hearing coming out of the Illuminati, the various other reports covering the Penguin, it does seem completely within the realms of possibility. Now, when talking about Salvatore Maroni before, and talking about that in the discussion series, I always wondered, would that happen? I did agree that it's completely, believable. But the thing is, he is in jail. Now, I theorized, could Penguin go and see him? Could he be let out of jail? I don't know. That's a big-ass drug bust, but Gotham, after all, has gone through a crisis with the flooding. We don't know how long Salvatore Maroni's sentence would have been. I assume it would have been more than 20 years, and it does seem a bit convenient if it was up around 20 years, just as Falcone died, just to make him appear in the series. So I don't know exactly what his involvement would be, and, this opens up so many larger questions, and we're going to talk about Sofia and Alberto and all of this in a second, because with the Maroni crime family, where were they? I'm not saying they had to be in the Batman, but it's the similar question to, obviously, Sofia and Alberto Falcone. Now, the Batman, and I have no problem with this, by the way, didn't have to introduce them. Like, it was following the Riddler mainly. Carmine and Penguin were supporting characters. They're kind of minor roles, even though obviously Falcone was the rat after all, so he was a big part of the plot. But at the same time, it didn't exactly want to nor need to get into any of the criminal element underworld history. That's what really I'm so excited for with the Penguin show, because now we are living and breathing in Matt Reeves' Gotham on the street level, but not just the street level. We could see any street level with any kind of depiction of Matt Reeves' Gotham, but we are entering the criminal underworld, and that is extremely exciting. I really feel like I need to nail that into people listening right now. I know you get it, but really think about it for a minute. We are entering that world through the eyes of Oz. And as a result, once again, hypothetically assuming this is true, we could learn a little bit more about the opposition, because I doubt Falcone, even though he has been ruling the city for the past 20 years, he's had the mayor in his pocket, the DA could get paid 10 grand a month to dismiss certain cases, as Gil Colson said. Even the commissioner let some drops operations slide with Pete Savage taking money. You have to think that he was still challenged every now and again, but at the end of the day, Falcone is probably too much of a top dog to ever really properly usurp the throne of the criminal underworld from him, especially with their leader Salvatore Maroni behind bars. There's only really so much you can do. So they're definitely out there, in my opinion. All of these other, and this has been a speculation of ours for a long time. Who's going to be in it? What kind of gangs? Are we going to see even more prolific people? A lot of people talk about Roman Sionis. Even though I'm kind of doubtful about that, there's only so much you could put in here. And if you want to introduce other characters who are really prolific, you need to be careful. For example, Roman Sionis, you don't want to introduce him for only a little bit to not have too much of an impact, thus kind of undermining the character. But to try and stay back on point, now there is a such a big opportunity. Gotham, as I said, had a crisis. Carmine Falcone is dead. Now everyone is going to grab what they can. That is, wow, I can't wait for that. One of them, as we know, and who will end up as Kingpin one day, is kind of obvious, is the Penguin. But we've also got the heirs of Falcone, as we went over in the other video, and as is briefly mentioned here as per their previous reports, Sofia Falcone and Alberto. We know that reportedly Sofia has been in Arkham. We went over that briefly earlier. I would love your theories as to how the Penguin and Carmine put her away. What was that really about? But she will have a grudge more now than ever on the Penguin, plus him trying to take the seat. I feel like Alberto, I'm not going to say he's predictable, but I got a sense of where his character can go. He's really impulsive. Apparently he's a drug addict in this series. He's a very big socialite. He's basically just not his dad. I reckon Carmine would have been pretty disappointed in Alberto and probably would have never have given him the seat to his throne if he had anything to say about it. But now think about this. You have Maroni. You have the Maroni crime family thinking, this is time. Let's do this. Now, what I am wondering is, it would be pretty cool. I'm sure many of you have seen Daredevil, but do you remember when Wilson Fisk was in jail for a long time and he was pulling a lot of strings from jail? Now, my God, that is most certainly doable in Gotham. I mean, I don't think it's a surprise. Like, Blackgate, Arkham, they're not really secure places. Now, I'm not saying he's going to escape or anything like that, but what I am saying is, with this new opportunity coming about, you know, proper criminal underworld warfare going on, everyone trying to grab, even though I think Oz is going to be low-key the smartest there, everyone might just think, as Falcone says, that he's just a gimp in a suit. But I do have a vision, at least in my head, if Maroni, Salvatore Maroni, is going to be in this, sees a way to take the criminal underworld throne, since it's open now, for himself, or at least to appoint someone in the Maroni crime family organization upon the throne, since he might be unavailable, he can call those shots from jail. So he could get jail scenes like that. That would be so awesome. Let me know what you think of that possibility, because there is also, and that can still exist with what I'm about to talk about. What about the Illuminati suggestion and speculation of Penguin uniting himself with Maroni? That's certainly doable. I can see that happening, and ultimately Oz to just betray Maroni, because perhaps the bigger threat is Sofia Falcone, Alberto Falcone, the other loyalists to Falcone, making sure that, okay, our boss is dead, but we're going to make sure everyone's still in place, all our lieutenants and generals and all of those close to Falcone, to ensure that Sofia and Alberto, or mainly Alberto at the beginning, at least that's what I feel, because Sofia will be calling the shots in my mind, in place. So perhaps Penguin could ally himself with Maroni. The same thing as what I was saying, calling the shots from jail, but ultimately lets himself land on top and not let the Maroni crime organization flourish after they defeat the Falcones. I can't imagine Penguin will once again be the right-hand man to someone else. For him, no. He's not anyone's right-hand man anymore. He's not wanting to be seen as a gimp in a suit. he wants to be the man, the boss, which is apparently the working title of the Penguin. I think that's more or less most things I've got to say about it. I would just love you guys to expand upon what I had to say. We already know about Sofia in Arkham. Let me know your expanded thoughts on that, because apparently it's because of Penguin, but again, Carmine would have had to have had something to do with that, or believed something for it to be a necessary thing to do to his daughter. And isn't it interesting that she's coming out just as her father dies, which maybe implies that Carmine was also keeping her there, because since he's dead, maybe Alberto has the rights to say, hey, I don't want her institutionalized in Arkham Asylum for the insane. Maybe it could go something like that. And then, of course, the main topic of this video, let me know what you think of Don Salvatore Maroni being in Penguin, if that is true. How do you think that could work? It does make sense on like the face value aspect of it. Okay, Falcone's dead. The Maroni crime family organization have a chance to have their swing and take the throne. Do you think he could be calling the shots from jail, or do you think he could actually get out of jail? And do you think Penguin might make alliances and then break them with the Maroni crime family organization? I don't think he'll be, you know, pretending to suck it up to the Falcones, because right from the get-go, that relationship doesn't seem so good. And then, of course, any other thing that I mentioned, of course, there is also the extra castings of Eve and Nick, but the Doctor who is working unethically in Gotham City, that's certainly an interesting one. Didn't really want to expand too much on that, given that it is still such a mystery. Having said that, last word on this, HBO Max is looking for a male actor in their 40s to play Dr. Ruben De Soto, whose work is less than ethical. These three will be supporting characters. Makes you think if Sofia, and if it is true that she was in Arkham, or maybe Hugo Strange, if, you know, Ruben De Soto is a code name, perhaps we could see the less ethical work that was done on people in Arkham during Sofia's time there, or perhaps to even Sofia herself. Even though I do want to make it clear that I don't think we're going to spend a large, if not even small amount of time in Arkham Asylum. I kind of actually vibe that we'll just see her already out in Gotham, but referencing that she stayed in Arkham for the past decade. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe they could attribute that unethical doctor to her time there. But that is everything I've got to say in today's video, guys. We'll keep you up to date on Penguin updates, so make sure you're subscribed. So many of you, I know I keep saying this in every video at a minute, but I do keep an eye on my analytics from time to time, and a lot of new/returning viewers who aren't subscribed come back every week. So maybe, just maybe today is the day you'll hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me, help grow the channel. Other than that, guys, links are in the description down below. But I'm going to leave the floor open to you guys now. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you, people of Gotham City, in the next video. Goodbye.